G'day everyone. Today we're going to learn about counters in the PLC S7-1200. First, please create a project in the TIP Portal software, and you'll access the main OB1 section so we can start programming. And to work with counters, we'll go to the basic instructions section and you'll open the counter operations folder for me. In this counter operations section, there are three types of counters: CTU, which is count up, CTD, count down, and CTUD, count up and count down. Today we'll learn about the CTU count up counter. You'll drag and drop it into a programming area. After you drag and drop, it will create a data block for me. You can change the name of this data block. However, I'll leave it as the default and select automatic. After that, I'll press OK to finish. And after you press OK, it'll create a counter for us in the programming area. And this count up counter has a type. You can change the type here. Alright, I'll set it to the int type. Right, I'll briefly go over some parameters of this count up counter. This count up counter has 5 parameters. The first parameter is the CU input. This CU parameter is our input contact signal. Here, I'll add an input contact with the signal N00, so that when we want to count up by 1, we'll trigger this N00 variable. Right, the second parameter is the R input. This R input is the reset input for this counter. When my counter exceeds the set value, I'll press this reset button to reset it. So I'll set a signal as N01 here. Right, the third parameter is the PV parameter. This is the parameter you'll use to set the counter. Here, I'll set it to 10, for example, I'll set it to 10. So when this counter counts up each time M00 counts up, it will add 1. And when the value of this counter equals 10, the Q output signal will turn on. So I'll set the Q output signal as Q00. Right, and the final parameter is the CV parameter. CV is the parameter that stores the current value of the counter. For example, when the M00 signal turns on, this CV value will increase by 1. This is the current value of the counter, so I'll set it as MW100, for instance. Right, so we've finished entering the counter's parameters. And now I'll briefly explain the principle of the counter. First, when you trigger the CU input with the M00 signal, this counter will count up by 1. And when that value plus 1 equals the PV value, this setup value, the counter will turn on, and the Q00 signal will turn on. And when you want to reset the counter to 0, you'll turn on bit M01 to reset it. And now I'll turn on the simulation. You'll click on the simulation button. And our PLC sim software will be displayed. You'll go to the instance section and turn on the PLC's power. After you turn on the PLC's power, its status will change. It's okay if it switches to the run state. Right, so our PLC has switched to the run state with a green symbol like this. Next, we'll go back to the TIP Portal software, and you'll select the PLC sim item. Then you press the load button. Our program will then be downloaded to PLC sim. And after the download to PLC sim is finished, you'll press this load button. Right, and I'll select, and then I'll select the monitoring on/off button. Right, and now we'll proceed with the simulation. You'll right-click on M00, select Modify, then Modify to 1. You can see the current value of the counter has counted up to 1. In the MW100 register, it has added 1. Now I'll turn it off. And I'll turn on the M00 value again. It will count up to 2. I'll turn it off. Now I'll count it up to 10. When it reaches 10, the Q00 bit will turn on. Now I'll turn it on until it reaches 10, alright. Seven, 8, 9, And now, for the last time, when I turn on the M00 value, the counter will count up to 10 and a Q00 will turn on. You can see that when this set value, set up at the PV input, equals the current value, the Q00 output will turn on. And now, if we want to reset this counter to its initial value of 0, we'll turn on bit M01, right-click on M01, select Modify, and modify to 1.
Alright.
So, when the M01 bit turns on, our counter will be reset to 0, and now the process will start again from the beginning. Alright, so that's the very simple operating principle of the counter. And if you found this video helpful, please subscribe and share it. Thanks for watching.